Hi, everybody. This is Tracy Donegan. You're very welcome to my podcast. So today I would love to introduce you to the wonderful Lisa Heeney, who I've known for a while now, like
Yeah.
lots of years at this point. We were just sharing stories of our kids' ages now, and they're grown like weeds. But I will allow Lisa to introduce herself, and we're going to chat about all things essential oils, aromatherapy. I want to hear about facial reflexology as well as normal reflexology. So we're going to try and pack a lot in, and we might have to have Lisa come back again. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I am so happy to be here with you today. Thank you.
It's been a while. So tell me a little bit about, I guess, who you are, what you're doing, and we'll have a longer intro added to the beginning of the podcast, and then we'll jump right in.
Okay. Well, my name is Lisa Heeney, and I'm based just outside Drogheda in County Louth in Ireland. I am a reflexologist and aromatherapist, and have been. I qualified in reflexology in 2001. And with aromatherapy in 2005. And as I'm sure you've probably discovered with other therapists that you've spoken to, there's a backstory as to why I've ended up being a therapist. I was in sales and marketing beforehand for an airline, actually, and literally was living the high life, which was great. It was a lot of fun. And then that all came to a very sudden stop, actually, in 2000 when my brother died suddenly. And it threw me into complete disarray. Really, I was 26, and it was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't deal with it at all. And at the time, my mom said to me, Lisa, why don't you go and get some reflexology? And I'd not really heard of it. I hadn't experienced it before. And so off I went, and I went to the lovely Nancy Hines, who was a reflexologist and aromatherapist as well. And it was she who also introduced me to the gorgeousness of essential oils and the healing properties of aromatherapy. I mean, I might have known lavender and tea tree at a stretch that were essential oils. But the treatments with Nancy were just so beautiful. I mean, I was so consumed with grief at that point that I probably wept through the sessions, but I find them so beneficial. And I went back lots and lots of times, actually. I seem to remember, going for a lot of sessions with her. And it was just lovely. And then she used to send me home with the little remainder of the oil that she had made up that she was using on my feet. And she says, use this, put it in a bath or something. It was lovely. And I seem to remember Neroli was one of the ones that she was using on me. And it was just gorgeous. So I went, and then a few months later, she's like, Lisa, there's a course starting. Would you fancy doing it? And I'm like, oh my goodness. And it was something that had never crossed my mind. I mean, I was definitely someone who would have gone for painkillers, for like the period pains or headaches, or natural healing was not on my radar at all. I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And I went, and the very first day of my reflexology training, I was like, oh gosh, please don't let her make me touch feet today.
Well, you knew what you were getting into now.
I just wanted a bit of a gentle easing into it, because I hadn't obviously touched many people's feet in my life before, but that all changed, and I was landed in the deep end. And of course we had to touch feet. So that was all part of it. So yeah, qualified in 2001 with that. And of course the interest in aromatherapy had started then because of Nancy as well. And I'd done little sort of like workshops with her then. She ran like a well woman clinic in Derry at the time. And it was just lovely. And the opportunity arose to attend the Tisserand Institute in London at the time. And that actually is another funny story, because a nun that from the school that I used to go to, I went to a convent school, secondary school. Anyway, the Sister Patricia, she had come across this advertisement in a woman's magazine, and it was to win a scholarship to study aromatherapy in Tisserand. And she had given it to my friend's mum, who was also my previous teacher. And so I entered the competition, wrote my story, went over, did the interview in London. And it was just one of those moments where I had a strong feeling, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. This is for me. I'm going to win. I'm sitting there, and the winner is, and they called out somebody else's name. And I'm like, no, it's meant to be me.
For me.
Exactly. It's meant to be me. And then I was so disappointed, but they spoke to me afterwards, and they said, oh, Lisa, you were our second choice. And I'm like, well, that's no good to me. That's no good to me. I think because it was in London, and it was going to be a one weekend a month for 2 years, and I would have been flying
Oh,
over from Dublin. So they thought maybe this girl isn't going to commit. But I went ahead and did the course anyway. So I did it off my own bat and I loved it. And just absolutely discovered a whole new side to me and to the joy that is aromatherapy, from not knowing much about it at all to absolutely falling in love with it and realizing that I wanted to progress with it. Like, I mean, a lot of people who had trained with me at the time, I know that they only were doing it as a hobby and they
yeah.
didn't progress with it as, you know, as a career. So yeah, I started making little oils and products for myself and for my reflexology clients at that stage, because I was working with pregnant clients at that stage. And you know what, whilst I wasn't maternal at that stage, I knew I wanted to work with pregnancy, and it was just something I found so fascinating. So from the very start, I was working with pregnancy,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the oils I was making up, they were, you know, they were designed to help with pregnancy discomforts. They were, I mean, I was making relaxing oils for back pain, just even sort of that sense of anxiety. My reflexology clients were like, well, could you help me with this? And I'm like, oh, I have an oil for that. And it developed from there. And so much so that I really wanted to help people use it themselves. So I had planned a book, AromaBuff, I can't even remember, AromaBuff, the Belly Bible for aromatherapy and pregnancy. And it developed, I mean, I think I had the plan for it hatched maybe 4 years before I actually did anything about it. But it was always there. It was always there.
Yeah.
I wanted just sort of to have that. It's a, you know, it's a reference book. How do I do X, Y, and Z, step by step? And I wanted to lay out everything, the safety of how to use essential oils, how to use them therapeutically, how to blend them. But I wanted it to be very usable. So eventually, in 2016, I was able to publish it. So it was quite literally a labor of love.
I get that.
Yeah, you've got that. And at that stage, I suppose people were asking me at the time, you know, are the products just for pregnancy? I'm like, oh gosh, oh, actually, not really. You know, whilst they were designed with pregnancy in mind, of course, you didn't have to be pregnant to use them. And so I thought and took some time out and rebranded completely, because I had just been making the products under my own name of Lisa Heeney.
Yeah.
And then, so I wanted something to encompass the idea of aromatherapy as well, because I had AromaBuff at that stage, the book title, but I wanted to develop that further. So AromaBuff was born. So buff, coming back to the idea of, you know, if something is buff, it's you're in the buff, you could be naked, it's very stripped back. To buff is to polish, to be a buff is to be an expert in one's field as well. So there was lots of sort of levels of how that worked, and, you know, checking for trademarks and things, and it wasn't taken, so it was all good. And so then I launched the men's range of like beard oils and aftershave balms, that sort of thing, as well as a non-pregnancy specific women's range as well. And
so Lisa, just quickly interrupt you there for so I think there is a general consensus, and I may be stereotyping here, that, you know, women like essential oils. So how did you find marketing? Like, it's a little different. It's quite different to marketing to men with aromatherapy products. So I am fascinated to hear how you were able to bridge that gap, because it's not something that is usually associated with men.
Sure, absolutely. Well, you know, the idea was sparked that men might like the products too, because my female clients were coming back and saying, my husband or my partner took my lip balm and he loves it and he's used it all. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he likes the Wonder Balm and la la la. So I was actually, you know, it's really quite funny, because I was at a Bob Proctor conference in Los Angeles at the time, and Bob had mentioned that he cut himself really quite regularly when he was shaving, because he was so busy thinking of other things. And I remember in my notes I wrote down something, a balm to help with like aftershave cuts, something soothing, something that would take away sort of any heat from a shave. And I there and then formulated it in the conference, and I'm like, that's going to work. And it did. So it was the idea of I suppose passing on the message that aromatherapy was more than just pretty smells. And it wasn't just lavender. And it, you know, that the essential oils actually did something. So it wasn't just the idea of perfume and, oh, that smells nice.
Yeah.
But if you can convey the message that the essential oils have more purpose and more substance to them, then a guy's mind sort of goes, oh, well, if that can help me post-exercise, and if that can help me, you know, soothe this rash that I have on my face post-shaving because of X, Y, and Z in that essential oil, then that's what's useful, as opposed to, oh, it smells lovely and it's going to relax me, you know. So it was
exactly
different.
yeah. And it was, as you're saying that, I'm thinking, what is like, you know, what's big in you know, kind of trending the last few years, and I'm thinking that men would kind of, you know, again, see past the flowery aspect of it, but to see the therapeutic aspect.
Yeah.
And it's something that when I'm talking to pregnant moms, and I'm like, because there is this assumption that, oh, it's just nice smells, that I'm very clear, like, it is causing not just a psychological change, but a biophysical change in your body. These are chemicals and need to be treated with respect. They're not just a nice smell to have, you know, on your candle on the mantelpiece. But I was thinking, you know, oh, what would, you know, people that I know, oh, keto flu. Everyone's doing keto. So all the guys doing keto, if you can come up with something that can help with keto flu, or if you already have, tell me now.
Not yet, but I'm making notes as we speak. So funny. Yes. I think if you get to this does something for you and it'll help with X, Y, and Z. I think that's sort of getting. And even
I'm thinking now, again, selfishly, my own needs here. With my eldest boy, Jack practices jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So when he's competing, there's this whole thing of, you know, and it's like any sporting event, you know, you're competing, you are trying to stay focused in the zone while you have all of this noise going on in one of these big arenas. So again, anything like that for focus, and like the jiu-jitsu market alone is...
It's a whole new world opening up now, Tracy. Just this conversation.
We'll have to chat again offline.
Absolutely.
To talk about.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting with the focus, especially. I mean, the likes of rosemary and frankincense would be super for that. But frankincense is also, excuse me, it's also really helpful for...
I love it.
It's gorgeous. Excuse me. It's also really helpful for stimulating blood flow to an area too. So say if you want to actually warm up before, are they called matches? Are they called... What are they called?
Fight.
Okay. Yeah. So if you want to, basically you could have it before and after a fight in terms of like a muscle rub too. But both of those would work really well on brain function too, and also the calming of the mind with frankincense. Lots of things there.
And then I'm thinking, okay, well, what would give them another competitive advantage? Because when you're grappling, you're in very close contact with your opponent, you know. So like, would you have an oil that would like repel them?
You know, there is a garlic essential oil. It's not used very often. But
could you imagine? Yeah.
It'd be horrific. Yeah, people will be running a mile.
Big arm's length, please.
Yeah, don't come close.
Lisa, I wanted to ask you, so as you know, I'm living in the States. I'm in Texas. And one of the things that I found when I moved back to the US was trying to find a reflexologist.
Right.
It is such a, like in Ireland, it was, you know, and I saw you frequently when I was pregnant with Cooper, and absolutely just loved my sessions. And it's always been something I'm like, that is like, I want to do for myself, my little self-care thing, but finding it's such a specialist area here, and it's really, really expensive. And I have no problem spending money on myself. I am worth it. But it is like, it is not just, I mean, you're expecting to pay a certain amount, but then it's like, this is cost the same as a minor surgical procedure. So I was like, it's kind of, really not accessible for most pregnant women here in the US. And there's so few reflexologists. I think there's an organization, I think in Florida, but it's very hard to find a reflexologist between where I've been and here in Texas. So
that's very disappointing though. And affordable. So, you know, people are obviously missing out on this, because that journey through pregnancy, well, for one aspect of a person's life, can be so well supported with reflexology. And it's such mean, because I don't use any instruments. Reflexologists generally don't use instruments. It's just their hands. I mean, it's such a safe treatment. So many
At
benefits.
least for anyone who's watching now, who's there's probably lots of people, especially for the US audience here, that don't know what reflexology is. Would you take us through just a quick primer on what is it?
Gosh,
How does it
reflexology work? I mean, the whole body is mapped onto our feet and our hands and our face, as well as our ears. Okay, so by stimulating various points on those areas, you're actually working the points within the body. So it helps to bring about a sense of balance and natural healing, wellness, that's generated from yourself as opposed to some, external force. So I mean, it's I don't know if people can see, it's sort of like little caterpillar movements along the various points. Some areas might feel a bit more sort of like a massage or pushing, but everything is there. For example, that's the digestive system. That's the reflexology points for the large intestine. These are your spinal areas along the outside of your thumbs, which is really easy to work as well. So say if somebody's feeling quite anxious, they could be even circling up the outsides of their thumbs themselves, pressing their actual thumb pads, because that's all the brain area. I mean, it to someone who's never had reflexology or even heard about it, it is quite strange to think that everything is reflected there. But I mean, such easily accessible points as well. In the inside of the thumb, there's like a little triangle area that's half a womb and that's half a womb. So with our womb being in the middle of our body, the reflex is split, so it's half and half on each side, whereas the ovaries are on the outside of the hand. It's so fascinating because you can see the results in people. People can feel various sensations in their body. So I'm only touching maybe their feet or perhaps their ankles, but yet they're feeling sensations within their body. And it's I love it because things start to gurgle as well. And to me, that's just energy moving and things shifting. So it works on a physical level because obviously I'm physically touching the person, but it works on an emotional level and a mental level as well. So often if someone's coming and they're presenting with X, Y, and Z in terms of symptoms or conditions, you want to get to why that's happening, because for me, I strongly believe that everything sort of develops from the way we're feeling, and our emotions. And then that eventually manifests in something physical. So it might have happened ages ago. It might be sort of a recurring thing, but the physical thing is nearly the last thing to present. So if you're working with a person, in reflexology terms, we often see people as an onion, which isn't a very attractive idea, but it's that you're peeling back the layers. So eventually you get to the core of the person. And it may have taken years to get to that stage for a person. So it's not going to be like a one treatment and magic, it's all fixed. But with a series of treatments, it does help to peel away those layers, those outer layers, those exterior layers, and then really help the person within. It's such a gentle treatment. So there's no sort of like strong clicking movements or anything like that. It's all very subtle. And you are working with energy. And then on the face is just a whole different level. Because Tracy, I love getting my feet done. Okay. I love getting my feet done.
Right.
And then when I get my face done, oh my goodness, it's just a whole different level of relaxation. It's like you're zoned out completely. So all of the face, it's in the same way as with the feet and the hands, the whole body is mapped out there too. So you're accessing all of these lovely points. I mean, you could be doing it yourself with just your like nighttime skincare routine, your morning time. So spend a little extra time, so all shoulder areas. We've got liver, we've got like stomach, we've got reproductive area here. And it's just fabulous. But because you're working so much with the pituitary and the pineal gland, the sense of relaxation, the letting go, it really is something else. I just love it.
Oh, I'm just like sinking down here to the chair while I'm listening, because I have personal experience of working with you, Lisa, on the reflexology and the things and the oils, and so this is I'm going to have to explore. See if there's anyone in Texas doing this. Is there? So I guess and I'm just thinking myself when I had a massage there recently, and the girl I go to, she's just absolutely wonderful, and she does spend time on the face, you know, which I really like, and the scalp, you know.
So fab.
And because I always thought I must have to Lisa. I've seen some of her reflexology, face reflexology video, and asked me what's going on here that feels really good when I do this. You know, have I got problems with my kidneys? Because you're always like, oh, is this a problem point here?
Sure. Okay. So not problem point, but maybe these stress. Okay. So in here, just to the side of your nose.
Yeah.
So there's your adrenal glands and your kidneys.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's right. Hello, stress.
That's it. We can end the conversation there.
There we go. Fixed. And it's so interesting because when you're working on somebody, they pulse so strongly underneath the fingertips. Like you nearly think, oh my goodness, it's going to push my fingers off in some instances. And here as well. But yeah, here is adrenal glands and kidneys and sitting on top, and then your ureters down to your bladder as well. Also ovaries and womb as well. So these points.
So we've viewers watching today who are trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
What points would you suggest for maybe their hands or the face that they can be doing, like sitting in work?
Yeah,
you know, because when you're trying to have a baby, especially if you're going through IVF or something, you know, nobody in your job knows, because most companies don't have policies to support family building. So you're kind of sneaking around and going to appointments and trying not, you know, there's so much stigma around it, and especially within the workplace. So can you give me a few points for somebody who is trying to get pregnant and is sitting at their office, at their desk today, or maybe in a really boring meeting, thinking, well, how can I help myself right now and support my fertility?
Okay, well, probably the most subtle area is obviously your hands. Okay, so I think the spinal areas, that's each side of the thumb. Okay, so you just sort of caterpillar up and down like that. I mean, you could be sitting obviously with your hands on your lap doing this. So that, I mean, obviously you're covering the entire central nervous system there too, because there's so much stress involved in a trying to conceive situation. Like, I mean, people obviously are trying not to be stressed, but the situation in and of itself creates stress, and often as well stress between partners. So little things like definitely working the head area. So I mean, the thumb is sort of a small area, so you're going to cover everything in your brain. Okay, so all of the pituitary gland, pineal gland, which govern hormones, etc. So they're all there in the pads of your thumb. As well here across the shoulder ridge. So if somebody can see just there,
right?
Okay, so and that's I mean, huge stress area. So if we even sort of begin to relax our shoulders, but also the womb points. Okay, so that's it's a little triangle. Where am I? There we go. So a little triangle here. Okay, and that's on each hand.
So it's at the joining of the wrist, is it? And the hand.
So see, where am I going there? So see just here, right? So underneath your thumb, if you stretch your thumb out exactly there, exactly there, Tracy. Yeah,
in there,
just in there, and it feels like a little hollow.
I do not want to be touched. That no. I understand, but yeah. So, but it's this would be the area.
And exactly.
Should they expect to feel anything different, or? Because I think it's just look, if you can sit there and just be massaging your hands in a meeting and are using a little bit of nice oils that'll relax everyone in the room, can't be a bad thing.
As well, for sure. You probably won't feel too much in here. It might feel as in terms of grittiness or sandiness, which you would feel on the feet and that sort of thing, but it might just feel a bit tender. Okay. And then if you work across from the womb to the outside of the wrist, so from the inside of the wrist to the outside of the wrist, that's your fallopian tubes. Okay. And then the other side of the wrist, the outside of the wrist, is your ovary. So that's the same on both hands. So you've got the hollow or the dip on that just underneath the thumb. Work across your fallopian tubes here. Okay, and it doesn't really matter which direction people are going to go with this rate. And then
it should just be comfortable though. It shouldn't be painful. It should
no, don't go crazy on the old pain thing, because there's no point. You're just causing yourself stress. But I mean, it can feel really nice, and it's actually really soothing. For sure. If you even had a little roll on of oil, and it could act, nice perfume, it could act like that as well. But the likes of rose, now I would stress that it's proper rose and not sort of adulterated rose geranium. So rose is beautiful. The actual geranium is lovely. I know you don't like geranium.
Yeah, it's so funny. When I see anything with geranium, I'm like, ugh.
No.
And it's just like I have a physical response to it. That again, when I talk to people, I'm like, it is, if you've ever had a really bad night out, and like a couple of years later, you get the smell of tequila, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
it's
No.
for me. That's the same. But when it comes to, and I'm just back to the rose, because I've seen different people again have different opinions on which oils, but for me, when we were trying to get pregnant with Cooper, and we were like this, we were 6, 7. He arrived like 7 years after Jack,
Okay.
and we weren't expecting such a big gap, and we'd gone through all the testing and everything. I was early ovarian failure. Oh yeah, all like it was dusty down there. It was just in the uterus. It was not going to happen. But I had read a paper, and they talked about fertility, and they talked about rose in it, and it just stuck in my mind because it's not something that I've ever been drawn to, that scent, But I made a point of, with rose, and I think some jasmine as well, because I love jasmine, and I would just go to bed in the evening and have a little bit of oil, and it was just kind of connect. I would use it to massage my lower abdomen, just to connect with my body for a minute.
Sure. And
just say, we're just putting it out to the universe here. We're trying to create, a welcoming environment for this baby. So, and it was a couple of weeks after I had started using the rose that we did find ourselves pregnant with Cooper. So of course, we can't say that was the cause, but it definitely helped me stay more relaxed and focused and not give up hope. And I think that's important, that if you find something that is nurturing to you and supportive of you, that as long as it's not harmful or illegal, I would say go for it.
Sure. Yeah.
Would you have any, so with fertility, there's, around half of the time it can be male factor. So
sure.
For if it's the partner that has the issue, what points are they the same? But just
they're the same, exactly.
Okay.
So prostate instead of womb, and testes then instead of the ovaries, and then the vas deferens goes across the hands, so instead of the fallopian tubes. So yes, right. Exactly the same points. Again, spine, of course, and brain, and also the shoulder ridge. But spine is really important, because just all of the nerve endings, all of the central nervous system is there. But yeah, I mean, if you're specifically talking about reproductive area, it's the same. So womb, stroke, prostate, testes, ovaries. Yeah, great. Exactly the same. Yeah.
No, I think that's really helpful and interesting to know, if that it just corresponds for both as well.
Exactly.
And
the same.
I guess you could, if there was an issue on both sides, it would be a nice little ritual to do, a hand massage.
Lovely. Yeah.
For,
really
for
nice.
Each other, because I know sometimes trying to get your partner to massage is like, but little hand massage, watching TV in the evening could be very relaxing.
It's not too hard. And actually, just coming back to the guys there, whilst rose doesn't seem a particularly masculine essential oil, it has really so many benefits for someone who might have like a really hard emotional exterior, doesn't want to talk about feelings, is bottling it all up.
Most men,
right? And especially in a situation where they're probably carrying a lot of burden in terms of the situation where they're trying to conceive. They are probably not talking to their guy friends. I don't know, I'm guessing here. They're probably not talking so much. So a lot of it goes in. Okay, so rose essential oil, yes, it is wonderfully feminine, okay, but it has so many benefits for a guy as well. Helping to release those emotions from his heart, breaking down that hard exterior, and basically connecting with his feelings as well. It works wonders, and less is definitely more when we're talking essential oils. And so don't have to go overboard.
Tell me a little bit about, I guess, using the oil safely, and how would you even choose an oil? I guess if you're brand new to the therapeutic value of essential oils, where do you start? Because there's as you know, there's so much noise out there. What is it? What is a clinical grade oil? And then there's like the multi-level marketing oils, and it's that and people getting really, really dangerous advice about ingesting oils, and can you share some helpful information there?
I'm trying not to bristle too much here.
I know. It is a hot topic for
It is. So if
aromatherapists.
somebody is just starting off and they haven't a notion, right? Okay, if they're just absolutely, I don't know what an essential oil is. Okay, so you're going to look for something that says pure essential oil. Okay, if it's organic, even better. Now, to break it down, there is no such thing as clinical grade or therapeutic grade essential oil. Those are marketing terms. Okay, so an essential oil either is or it isn't. Okay, so it's not, there's no sort of like higher level because it says therapeutic grade. Obviously you want the best quality of essential oil. You will not get a bargain when it comes to buying essential oil. So if something on offer, discount, I would walk away, because you don't know really how long it's been sitting on the shop shelf. You don't know exactly what the origins are. If it's a reputable company. Like I really like, I mean, obviously I'm going for the brands that I know here, but I really like Tisserand, and I know I'm a little bit biased there, but the quality is excellent. I don't use the multi-level marketing ones myself, only because I really I sort of feel that their information that they give out to people can be quite irresponsible. And the likes of ingesting essential oils, etc. It's, as an aromatherapist, I don't do it. So I know lots of people do it and they think it's great, but it's, from a safety perspective, no. Plus, if you're ingesting an essential oil, and often people are advised to take it in water, essential oils and water do not mix. Okay, so they sit on top, right? So if you're sipping an essential oil in water, all it's doing is going down your mucous membranes of your mouth and your throat. Then it reaches the stomach, it gets killed off by the stomach acid and doesn't make it any further. So all you've done is basically aggravate the mucous membranes of your body. Isn't that good? Same for a bath. So you need to be diluting an essential oil in a carrier oil. So a carrier oil is something like sweet almond oil, grapeseed oil, jojoba, apricot, rosehip oil. Those are all, coconut oil, they are all carrier oils. So essential oils have to go into those. Okay, I work at really safe levels of 1% dilution. Now that doesn't sound very much at all. So if you think of an essential oil in a dark little bottle, the little 10 mils, that's 100% neat. Okay, so that's 100% concentration. It's a neat oil. So you want to dilute that to 1%. And I mean, with 100 mils of carrier oil, I think it works out at 25 drops. Now I like to weigh mine, because obviously I work in sort of like larger scale, but if somebody is working at home with it, they need to be counting. Okay, so 25 drops in 100 mils will bring it up to what, 1%. So it might sound really little in terms of like, that's not going to do anything, but it totally does. And you don't need to be wasting your essential oils excessively, because I mean, at the end of the day, they're a natural resource. They are prone to now, unfortunately, weather conditions and harvests and things are being affected too. So if you don't need to use more than you absolutely need to, then why would you? Because otherwise it's waste. But
and then do they have do essential oils have an expiration? I'm just trying, because I know I have oils that have come all over the world with me, and I'm thinking I probably should review my box of oils. So,
things like citrus oils, if they right, okay, so it's better to keep your oils in a fridge, and they'll nearly double in terms of shelf life. So say something like a citrus oil, like lemon, sweet orange, lime, bergamot. They will last out of the fridge. They'll last and be good for about 6 months once the bottle's opened. Okay, and then once you keep them in the fridge, they'll last for a year. So you'll know from the smell of an essential oil, it just smells less fresh. Okay, but something like a citrus essential oil, if you're using it on the skin, obviously diluted, if it's gone off, it can cause some irritation. Okay, other essential oils might not cause irritation if they've gone off, but they won't be as therapeutically valuable, if you know what I mean. So they won't help that much. I mean, if you have, everybody has essential oils that they've got sitting around the house and have been there for years. If you want to put them in your vacuum cleaner, or down the loo, or down your sinks, or put it into your bucket of water for washing the floor, as well as your cleaner, just for the scent. Because as long as you're not using it on you, then it's fine. You won't get the same therapeutic value out of it if it's gone off or old. But certainly feel free to use it around the house, even like on a tissue, on a radiator. It'll help to diffuse around the room as well. So you don't need, you don't need expensive diffusers or vaporizers, or if somebody doesn't want to have something like that. It's really easy. It doesn't have to be a complicated process. So a couple of drops. Now I'm saying literally a couple of drops of an essential oil and put it on a radiator. It'll waft around the room and it's lovely. It's easy. And everybody has a tissue.
Yeah. Not everybody has a radiator.
Not everybody has a radiator. Maybe you don't need it in Texas.
But I'm pleased, don't do what my grandmother did. So when my grandmother was coming to Texas years ago, when we lived here many, many years ago, and my granny had a bit of a cold.
Okay.
So what did she do? I don't know where she discovered tea tree oil, but that was her. There was tea tree oil was a magic potion and it fixed everything. So she's on the transatlantic flight, and takes out her tea tree oil.
Okay.
Dabs it all over the tissue. Sits there. She's quite content smelling her thing, and everyone on the plane is breathing in tea tree oil. So
for sure.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, don't do that. Don't.
No.
You do you when it comes to oils, but you don't force it on other people.
No, definitely not.
In an enclosed environment as well. But yeah, she loved her tea tree oil.
Well, it's great actually. I mean, it was perfect for air travel because it's so antimicrobial, and air travel, the air, and it's just like, it's really not nice. So I would sort of go with your granny actually, because I do prepare little roll-ons and things when I travel.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's for various things. Like lemon is wonderful if you're flying, because it does keep microbes at bay. But again, you want to be subtle about it. You don't want to be. You don't want to be.
But she was like, I doubt there was a couple of drops. I would say half the bottle was like,
excellent.
And my parents were, or I think it was my mother was traveling with her, and she said the whole plane was just. So, and if I feel sorry for anyone who's trying to have a little bit of a sleep on the flight, being woken violently out of their little slumber by being assaulted by tea tree oil.
Well, if there was a risk of MRSA on the flight, then it all helped.
That's so funny.
It's all good.
No, a little bit more about, you mentioned about diffusing it around the house. So what about someone who has a new baby in the house? What are we doing with essential oils? Because again, we hear different things about using essential oils around newborns, and even using them on newborns. I would always say err on the side of caution and keep them away from newborns. And just because, especially on their skin, because their skin is so
I'm with you.
Absorbs everything.
For sure. It doesn't. Excuse me. It doesn't. If I were to use an essential oil in the house with a newborn, it would be far away. Okay, so not even in the same room.
Right.
I just wouldn't. And any sort of like scent, they don't need it. Okay, so even like scented lotions or whatever. No, if you can get something that doesn't sort of have an onslaught on their little nervous system and their sense of smell, I think no. Even something very gentle like mandarin, I would still I'd still be very cautious up until they're about a year. Less is definitely more. Okay, if mum needs some essential oils, she might be breastfeeding and she might like to have some essential oils maybe to help with mastitis or something like that. But I would apply it, maybe even wash it off, leave it for a little while, but wash it off before baby comes even near you again. No, newborns don't need anything like that really. So at a very far distance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what. Yeah, because especially when newborns are born with such a heightened sense of smell, because they're supposed to connect to mom, that's the smell that they're looking for. So, and I know, and I'm sure you've had these experiences as well, when as a new mom, when everybody wants to hold the baby. So the baby goes around to the aunties and the grannies, and then baby comes back to you, and the smell of other people's perfume, and it's like, it's quite jarring when you just want to smell your baby, and it's like, what? Yeah, and it's definitely
for sure. I remember actually asking my sister not to wear perfume coming down. She just thought I was super strange. Whenever my first baby, and I knew that my family wore strong perfume anyway, and I asked her not to, and she was like, okay, but you could see that it wasn't an automatic thing to go, oh right, whereas to me, obviously, sense of smell is just hugely important, and you're absolutely right. Baby wants to smell their mum, not everybody else.
And because the olfactory system is directly connected into it's direct line into the brain. It's like, we want to be really, really cautious about what we're allowing in upstairs, both mentally and physically, especially in pregnancy. Take a step back. So if you were, and this is the question that I ask all of my guests, if you were to go back to your 18-year-old self, What was the one piece of advice you would give Lisa?
Do more things. Stop being afraid. Trust yourself and your capabilities. And talk to yourself way more kindly. I think when I was 18, I was probably very shy, not wanting to offend anyone, and afraid to try things, like, you know, oh, I can't do that because of what somebody else says. I think if I were to go back there and say, with today's knowledge, and say, just do it, go out and try things, do more things, take dance classes. I think I probably would have taken more dance classes, in fairness.
Go golfing.
Well, maybe not. That's
I don't know if
definitely
there's many.
a little bit.
The 18-year-olds aren't ready to go golfing. Yeah, you've recently taken up the sport yourself.
I have. 2019, I joined a women's Get Into Golf in Baltray County Louth Golf Club, and it was just one of the best things I've ever done in my life. I just love it.
Really?
And there were about 70 women joined up in this program, all similar age, you know, and I think maybe half of us actually went on to become members of the club. It's fantastic. Yeah. I would never have thought of myself as a golfer. In fact, my friends sort of go, Lisa, golf? Really? And I love it. I love it. But it's brilliant because that action of just going out and hitting golf balls, Tracy, is just amazing. Have you played?
I know I did. I tried several years ago. I tried when we were living in Texas first. And it was a case of, I think the couple of times I've gone out, I've gotten to 9 holes and I'm like, I cannot take one step further because it's the humidity, and especially when we were living in Houston, it was like you either had to play at the crack of dawn before it got to 100 degrees, you know, or in our, like, you're talking about like the 30s, or it was like, you know, you're playing at like 6 o'clock in the evening, but it's still, even in a golf cart, you know, because my husband golfs a bit, and when he goes home and they go golfing, and I'm seeing the pictures of him out in the rain, and I'm like, yeah, no, I would definitely be a fair weather golfer if I did get back into it again. But I didn't, we lived in a house like that was like overlooking a golf course, you know.
Gorgeous.
And it was beautiful. And we really like couldn't believe how fortunate we were for this house that we were renting. And it was not just the golfers that I used to watch. You know, we had coyotes that would, because it was just a big green belt. So we had the wildlife was fabulous. But one thing that I found interesting was there was a teeing off box, right? I think it was the 8th hole. I think it was just out back at the back of our yard. So all the golfers would congregate around that area as they were getting ready, and then there's like a girl would come up in the drinks cart. So she brings the beer, you know, so you have the drinks cart going around and all this, and the conversations that I would hear.
Oh, I can imagine.
When I'm sitting just out working out in the back, and it was and I thought it is a great way to meet people. And I think as well at this age, you know, like I think we're about the same age. I think your interests do shift a little bit. And you're looking at life looks different. So when you're, just to come back to the reflexology again, for anyone that's watching here today who is menopausal.
Oh yeah.
What quick tips can you give us for someone that is struggling with night sweats or insomnia or brain fog? Anything that they can be doing sitting in their boring meeting today to help themselves?
You know what? Same points. The spine is definitely so crucial. Okay. Again, the thumb pad for glands. Okay. If they're not in a meeting and they don't mind, you know, if they're sitting at home and they're able to do these things, here on the face is all the spine as well, and it's just amazing. So stroking upwards here between the eyebrows, just on top of the nose, okay, that's your pituitary, and up here halfway up, so slide your finger up and there's sort of like an indentation just there. Okay, so that's your pineal. All right, so those are really important in working. Plus,
or I could just be sitting in a meeting like this.
You could just be
I just like want to leave.
And also,
as I'm having luckily enough, my menopause was very, very straightforward. I had very little side effects, thankfully.
Good.
Touch wood,
Okay.
a lot, because I hear the other stories. But yeah, I could see myself sitting there, hot flash. Yeah, let's
Yeah. Let's work with that. Also, again, coming back to the adrenal glands and the kidneys, really important too. And again, the womb, you know, so all of the sort of like all of the glands, all of the endocrine system. So you're talking here, all up your spine, your kidneys and your adrenals, and then also down here in your chin, which is your womb. But low, because I mean, there's lots of things, and people are coming in, they're expressing levels of anxiety have gone up, they're not sleeping properly, there's weight gain. So even things like here, like rolling your fingers along, like sort of getting them like in this position, but rolling them here, it gets lymph moving as well. So because of like toxic buildup as well, and you know, maybe things in our diet that we don't really want there, but get sort of stuck in our systems, the lymph carries a lot. Okay, so here is really good. And even like moving underneath your cheekbones out towards your ears as well.
Oh yeah, I like that one myself. Yeah, that's another one I like.
Yeah. And then also if you sort of hook your thumbs underneath your cheekbones and anchor your third finger, so your middle finger up on the top of your head, and like press your thumbs up and in, it can be quite tender, but that's like a solar plexus point as well. So I mean, like anything for anxiety. You remember when I pressed your feet in the sort of the center of your feet, so it's that point. Very calming as well. So hold it for a few
it's
seconds.
a lovely calming. I'm thinking of labor as well. That solar plexus point in the foot as well is lovely in for anxiety in labor as well, and just that soothing.
For sure. I think just even taking a few moments to yourself whenever things can get a bit just a bit hectic in your head. I'm a great fan also of writing things down and journaling, and perhaps never come back and reading them ever, but to write, I think is wonderful. And also I think, you know, as women, we can sort of store emotions as well, or perhaps even hold grudges for years, you know. So if something that you can't actually physically say to a person, write it down. And if you want the sort of symbolic thing of burning it, fair enough, but as long as it's out, because
get it
like,
out.
Get it out. There's no point in that staying in you, festering, because, well, it's not affecting anybody else, but it's affecting you. So I find that the more a person is stressed, regardless of what period of their life they're going through, be it pregnancy, be it trying to conceive, be it pregnancy, menopause and beyond, if a person is stressed, their symptoms or how they're feeling is just so much more heightened. Whereas if stress levels are managed, and I know that you're a great fan of meditation as well. So, I mean, if you're using your tools like meditation, like aromatherapy, like reflexology, it just helps everything. So, you know, you're a whole person and the treatments are holistic. So, I mean, somebody might come and present with X, Y, and Z, but I'm looking at a person and I'm thinking, how can I help? How can I help this person? Because this is what they're going through right now. And it's the simple things. It's the taking the time out. It's the looking after ourselves. Boundaries, Tracy.
What are they, Lisa?
I've heard of them once or twice, you know. But
so please tell me where people can find you and all of your lovely services. And I will include that in the show notes as well.
All right, brilliant. Thank you. Anything pregnancy related is AromaBuff, AromaBuff. So mostly on Instagram. Anything, excuse me, to do with the products by themselves is AromaBuff, AromaBuff. And then for reflexology and the face and the feet, it's Lisa Heeney Reflexology or facereflexology.ie. So the website is facereflexology.ie, but Instagram is probably the best thing for people, or on Amazon as well. When the books are on Amazon, so they're actually just going back to that idea of like journaling and note making and keeping boundaries of the mind, etc. So I've recently created it's a positive affirmations and gratitude journal specifically for pregnancy. So it's 42 weeks of a weekly positive affirmation. Then you've got space to write down your own gratitude on a daily basis. So I think it's something that could really support women through pregnancy, you know, and just keep that mindset focus. So that's on Amazon as well. So if you type in Lisa Heeney into Amazon, they come up.
Well, we know where to find you. Thank you so much, Lisa. I hope you all enjoyed today's chat with Lisa back in Ireland. Feel free to message myself or Lisa with any questions. Hit the like and subscribe button and you'll see more great content like this. Thank you, Lisa. It was lovely to chat to you.
Thank you.